now is just a shadow of its former self, but at least the buildings are still intact, not like in Rankin Springs. It is heartbreaking to see Matong and Rankin Springs knowing what they used to be. It is even worse to know that there are hundreds of places like them in Australia and thousands like them throughout the world. This headline appeared in our local newspaper, and now it is the cover of a book which is being written. This might be a bit over the top, but my research first uncovered 4 political decisions starting in 1970 which caused all of this devastation. Then it uncovered a number of solutions, starting with fixing the Australian dollar at 70 cents or some more appropriate value. If this happens, then we could be looking at dollars floating in from the sky. My starting point was our state member, but he dodged us during the political campaign, except for the initial meet the candidate. Having experienced that, my plan is to ensure that our federal member, Sean, does not escape being beaten by using the same tactic. With more than a year to go, and having one of Michael's assistants advising that there is no need for further communication between us, and with Michael not answering my 4 recent letters, I am issuing a challenge for a debate. My plan is for this to be the start of many. This one has 3 components. The head of the RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, desperately wants the dollar to go down. It does not matter what he does, it stays up. That kills places like Matong and Rankin Springs. He is smart enough to know that a low dollar, which farmers can rely on it holding steady until they call for a change in either direction, could equate to dollars falling from the sky or some other suitable film clip in the next portion of the film. He is not smart enough to ask politicians to fix it at 70 cents. The Chinese manipulate, adjust their currency and see what it does for them. To prepare for the next debate with an overall plan to return our region and our nation to the growth rate which it had become used to, the second portion of this debate relates to what I feel was the start of the first political era which has put us into the situation which has both major political parties without a constructive forward plan. It began as a noble gesture. To developed countries of the world who thought they would continue with the same high growth rate forever decided to help the developing countries by lowering tariffs starting in 1970. By 1975, the process was confirmed at the Lima Declaration as a 25-year plan for developing countries to reach 23% of world production. The unforeseen consequences were that the GDP growth of developed countries started to droop, as shown. The late Lance Endersby developed this diagram, and I'm proud to be continuing his wonderful work. In 1996, Lance predicted that unless the process was reviewed, that Europe would collapse first. He predicted that the United States would follow, but that has been delayed by the printing of huge amounts of paper money, and that Australia would not have to follow them down if manufacturing and agriculture would remain strong. The paper money pack of cards could collapse at any time. Australia's manufacturing and agriculture have tanked since 1996. The third section of this debate relates to the diagram, which is on page 13 of Whodunit, the last nail in the coffin of the Citrus family farm. When we had our only meeting of the last 3 years, we asked Michael how the inverse relationship of the 2 curves, lowering tariffs and compared to the exponentially increasing farm debt, could be reconciled. Michael's answer was the weather. I look to present a very different viewpoint in this debate. My contention is that Matong and Rankin Springs are not just microcosms of Australian country regions, but for the country regions of all developed countries.